It was a crisp fall evening in the heart of Pennsylvania. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving behind hues of orange and pink that painted the sky. A group of friends, including myself, was driving back home from a weekend getaway in the Pocono Mountains. Laughter echoed within the car, memories of our hiking adventures still fresh in our minds. As we cruised along the deserted highway, our eyes were drawn to an unusual sight, a line of abandoned cars, neatly parked along the shoulder. The fading daylight cast long shadows on the silent vehicles, creating an eerie tableau against the backdrop of the darkening woods. Curiosity seized us, and a unanimous decision was made to pull over and investigate. We parked our car a safe distance away and approached the row of forsaken vehicles. Each step seemed to amplify the hushed tension in the air, as if the very atmosphere held secrets waiting to be unraveled. The first car, an aging sedan, had its doors left ajar, inviting us to peer inside. As we cautiously approached, the interior revealed a scene frozen in time. Children's toys were scattered across the back seat, a testament to the lives that once filled this now abandoned vessel. A faded family photo clung to the dashboard, capturing smiles that had long since vanished. We exchanged uneasy glances, acutely aware that we were intruding into the intimate moments of strangers. The silence between us felt heavy, like an unspoken understanding that the cars held stories that might be better left untold. Undeterred by the ominous atmosphere, we continued down the line. Each car had its own tale to tell, a narrative woven with threads of uncertainty and foreboding. An SUV contained hiking gear, stained with mud as if the owners had hurriedly abandoned their exploration. Another vehicle bore the remnants of a hastily consumed meal, the scent of fast food lingering in the stale air. Our imaginations ran wild as we conjured scenarios to explain the deserted scene. A sudden evacuation? An otherworldly encounter? The possibilities seemed as endless as the darkening highway stretching before us. In the midst of our speculation, we stumbled upon a minivan that sent a collective shiver down our spines. The windows were fogged, obscuring the interior from view. With trepidation, we wiped away the condensation, revealing an unsettling sight, handprints smeared across the glass, their origin unknown. It was as if the occupants had desperately tried to peer into the encroaching darkness outside. As we retreated from the minivan, our laughter had long been replaced by hushed whispers. The once mundane act of exploring abandoned cars now felt like an unwelcome intrusion into a realm fraught with unspoken dread. The final car in the line proved to be the most unsettling of all. A pickup truck, its bed covered with a tattered tarp, hinted at a cargo concealed beneath. With a mix of curiosity and trepidation, we peeled back the covering to reveal a collection of worn and weathered dolls, their glass eyes staring vacantly into the encroaching night. The discovery sent a chill down our collective spine. The dolls seemed to embody a silent witness to the unsettling events that had transpired. The air around us thickened with a palpable unease, as if the dolls held the key to the mystery we were unwillingly entangled in. As we retraced our steps back to our car, a foreboding realization settled upon us. The abandoned vehicles were not just relics of the past, they were fragments of a chilling narrative that transcended the ordinary. The highway, once a familiar stretch of asphalt, now seemed like a pathway into the unknown, a conduit to a realm where the line between reality and nightmare blurred. Our drive home, which should have been filled with post-getaway banter, was instead consumed by an uncomfortable silence. The images of the abandoned cars lingered in our minds, each vehicle a haunting reminder that some mysteries are better left untouched. In the days that followed, we attempted to rationalize the eerie encounter, attributing it to a mass evacuation or an elaborate prank. Yet, the unsettling feeling persisted, a gnawing uncertainty that refused to be dismissed. The abandoned cars on that Pennsylvania highway became a shared nightmare, a story passed down among friends in hushed tones. Each time we drove past a seemingly ordinary row of vehicles, the memory of that fateful evening resurfaced, serving as a haunting reminder that sometimes, the most ordinary things can harbor the most extraordinary and unsettling secrets. It was a warm summer evening in the heart of New England, the air thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the promise of a relaxing family road trip. My wife, Lisa, our 2 kids, and I were navigating the winding roads of Connecticut, en route to a quaint bed and breakfast nestled in the countryside. As the day waned and the golden hues of sunset painted the landscape, we found ourselves faced with a decision. Our GPS, seemingly determined to lead us on the most scenic route, suggested a detour that involved crossing an old, supposedly haunted bridge. Despite the subtle protests from Lisa, I, ever the enthusiast of local folklore, convinced the family to take the road less traveled. As we approached the bridge, its weathered wooden planks creaking under the weight of our minivan, I couldn't help but feel a chill crawl down my spine. The bridge was an architectural relic, its time-worn structure a testament to the countless stories whispered through the generations. Just as we reached the midpoint of the bridge, the engine sputtered and died, leaving us in eerie silence. Panic fluttered in Lisa's eyes, mirrored by the perplexed expressions of our children in the back seat. I attempted to restart the engine, but it remained obstinately silent, as if the bridge itself had claimed dominion over our vehicle. With a sigh of frustration, I stepped out of the car, my shoes meeting the ancient timbers with a hollow thud. The evening air had grown still, and an uneasy hush enveloped the surroundings. A sense of foreboding lingered, amplified by the knowledge that we were stalled on a bridge rumored to harbor the echoes of a tragic past. Lisa and the kids remained in the car, their faces pressed against the windows as they watched me inspect the engine. That's when the first whisper of the past reached my ears, indistinct murmurs carried by an unseen wind. It was as if the bridge itself was recounting a tale that time had failed to erase. As I crouched near the hood, the whispers intensified, coalescing into ghostly echoes that seemed to emanate from the very planks beneath me. I couldn't discern the words, but the tone carried the weight of sorrow, an inexplicable mourning that transcended the passage of years. A sudden gust rustled the leaves in the nearby trees, and the atmosphere shifted. Shadows danced along the bridge, coalescing into ethereal figures that flickered at the edge of perception. My heart quickened, and a sense of vulnerability seized me as I stood alone on that haunted bridge. In the back seat, Lisa and the kids pressed their faces harder against the glass, their expressions shifting from curiosity to unease. The air thickened with an unseen presence, and the temperature plummeted, leaving me with a bone-deep chill that had nothing to do with the fading sunlight. The apparitions took form, ethereal specters frozen in moments of despair. A phantom child played by the railing, his laughter swallowed by the ages. A woman, her eyes brimming with sorrow, stared into the distance as if searching for something lost to time. The bridge had become a canvas, and these apparitions painted a tragic mural of events long past. As the spectral drama unfolded, a realization struck me: these were not malevolent entities, but echoes of souls forever tethered to the bridge by the weight of their unresolved stories. The atmosphere teemed with a palpable yearning, a demand for acknowledgement and closure. Summoning courage, I beckoned to Lisa and the kids to join me on the bridge. Their hesitant steps resonated against the time-worn planks, and as they crossed the threshold, the apparition seemed to stir with anticipation. The air pulsed with a strange energy, and I knew that our presence had become a catalyst for something beyond our understanding. The ghostly figures reenacted moments of their lives, the scenes unfolding with a spectral clarity that transcended the limitations of time. The child's laughter, the woman's mournful gaze, each gesture seemed to bridge the gap between past and present, demanding recognition and understanding. As a family, we stood at the nexus of two worlds, witnesses to a tragedy that had woven itself into the fabric of the bridge. The whispers grew more coherent, the voices pleading for acknowledgement, for release from the shackles of unresolved sorrow. In that haunting moment, I felt a connection with the apparitions, an unspoken understanding that transcended the boundaries of life and death. I raised my hand in a hesitant wave, a simple gesture that carried the weight of recognition. The air quivered, and a profound stillness settled over the bridge. The spectral figures seemed to waver, their forms flickering like candle flames. Then, with a soft sigh, they dissipated, leaving behind the echo of a collective sigh, a sigh that spoke of release and the lifting of a burden carried for too long. The minivan, once silent and unresponsive, roared to life as if awakened from a deep slumber. The bridge, no longer haunted by the weight of unresolved stories, felt different beneath our feet, a bridge no longer burdened by the echoes of a tragic past. As we drove away, the bridge disappearing in the rearview mirror, a sense of closure settled over us. The apparitions, having found acknowledgement, had embraced the ephemeral nature of their existence. The family road trip continued, but the memory of that haunted bridge lingered, a testament to the profound and inexplicable encounters that sometimes find us on the roads less traveled. It was a moonlit night in the vast expanse of the Arizona desert. The asphalt stretched ahead like a ribbon of uncertainty, surrounded by the eerie silence that only the desert can provide. I was in the driver's seat, cruising through the isolation with only the hum of the engine for company. The only companions on this desolate stretch were the stars overhead and the intermittent glow of distant cacti. As the miles ticked away, my eyes caught a glimpse of a solitary figure on the roadside, illuminated by the pale glow of the moon. A hitchhiker, thumb extended, seeking refuge in the darkness. Against my better judgment, a sense of compassion spurred me to pull over. The hitchhiker, cloaked in shadows, approached the car with an unsettling grace. Their features were obscured by the darkness, and I could barely make out the contours of their face. A gesture, a slight nod, communicated the intent to share this nocturnal journey. Without uttering a single word, the hitchhiker slid into the passenger seat, their presence permeating the car with an undeniable weight. The air thickened, and an oppressive silence settled between us. The desert seemed to hold its breath, awaiting the unraveling of an enigmatic tale. The hitchhiker's eyes, glinting with an otherworldly luminescence, met mine in the rearview mirror. A shiver crawled down my spine, the intensity of that gaze suggesting an awareness that transcended the bounds of mere humanity. It was as if the desert itself had birthed this silent traveler, a nomad of the night with secrets stitched into the fabric of their existence. Miles unfurled beneath the tires, the hypnotic hum of the engine mingling with the haunting quietude of the desert. My attempts at conversation were met with stoic silence. The hitchhiker's gestures, though purposeful, conveyed a cryptic language I couldn't decipher. As the landscape shifted from the barren desert to a realm of towering rock formations, the hitchhiker's demeanor underwent a subtle transformation. Their eyes fixated on the monoliths rising from the earth, an ancient sentinel to mysteries untold. A delicate gesture directed me to turn off the main road and follow an unmarked path into the labyrinth of rocks. I complied, the crunch of gravel beneath the tires echoing in the stillness. The hitchhiker's silent guidance led us deeper into a twilight realm, the moonlight casting elongated shadows that danced along the rugged terrain. A sense of foreboding intensified with each passing mile, and I began to question the nature of this nocturnal odyssey. The hitchhiker's gestures, once inscrutable, now seemed to convey a sense of urgency. The desert, once a canvas of serenity, felt like a stage for an impending revelation. As we approached a natural amphitheater formed by towering cliffs, the hitchhiker motioned for me to stop. A low hum reverberated through the air, an ethereal melody that seemed to emanate from the very stones that surrounded us. The hitchhiker stepped out of the car, their movements synchronized with the rhythmic pulse of the desert night. I followed, drawn into the gravitational pull of an inexplicable force. The amphitheater, bathed in moonlight, revealed ancient petroglyphs etched into the rock faces. The hitchhiker, now an ethereal silhouette against the desert canvas, began to trace the symbols with their fingers. The air, once serene, twisted into an electric maelstrom as an unseen force unfurled its malevolent presence. Shadows slithered from the rock's crevices, morphing into grotesque specters that defied the moonlight's purity. Each phantom bore an ethereal grotesqueness, their features warped by an ancient agony that seeped from the very bedrock. The moonlight, which had once cast a gentle glow, now conspired with the unearthly entities to create a kaleidoscope of nightmarish visions. The spectral figures moved not with elegance, but with a macabre grace that sent shivers through the very fabric of reality. Their dance was not one of celebration, but a grotesque pantomime, a nightmarish ballet choreographed by the secrets of an ageless desert. Their limbs, elongated and twisted, mimicked the agony of forgotten souls bound to the rocky embrace of the amphitheater. The haunting melody, once ethereal, now echoed like a dirge, a requiem for those ensnared by the spectral dance. It was a melody that transcended time, resonating with the anguish of every lost soul entwined with the desert's tragic history. Faces contorted in silent screams, and ethereal hands reached out in futile gestures of liberation. The air pulsed with an unsettling energy, the very essence of the desert's sorrow manifesting in the tortured dance of these wraith-like entities. The amphitheater, once a sanctuary of beauty, had transformed into a theater of nightmares. The rocks bore witness to a macabre performance, and the petroglyphs, now animated by the spectral presence, whispered the tales of woe etched into their ancient surfaces. The moon, instead of a benevolent witness, revealed its darker side, casting elongated shadows that writhed in tandem with the unnatural dance. It was as though the celestial bodies themselves were complicit in this unholy communion, their light distorted into a malevolent accomplice to the spectral horror unfolding in the desert night. I stood frozen, my senses overwhelmed by the grotesque ballet before me. The dance of the damned, once a mere legend, had become a visceral reality. The haunting melody, now a cacophony of anguish, clawed at the edges of sanity, threatening to pull me into the nightmarish tapestry woven by the desert's ancient sorrows. Each step I took seemed to echo through the amphitheater, a discordant note in the symphony of suffering. The spectral figures, momentarily acknowledging my intrusion, turned their hollow gazes toward me. Eyes devoid of life bore into my soul, and a silent plea resonated in their anguished expressions, a plea for recognition, for release from the cyclical torment that bound them to this accursed dance. As the dance reached its zenith, the amphitheater quivered with an unnatural resonance. The very earth beneath me seemed to groan, burdened by the weight of centuries-old sorrow. It was a moment of transcendence, a union of the living and the spectral in a wretched ballet that defied the boundaries of comprehension. A realization dawned upon me, these were not mere shadows but echoes of lives entwined with the desert's tumultuous history. The hitchhiker, a spectral conduit, orchestrated a spectral dance that traversed the boundaries of time. As the dance unfolded, the petroglyphs came to life, telling a story etched into the very fabric of the rock. A tale of nomads, of rituals, of an ageless communion between the living and the spectral. The desert, a custodian of secrets, unveiled its chronicles through the silent eloquence of the hitchhiker. The realization left me breathless, caught in the interplay of realities that coexisted on this sacred ground. The hitchhiker's gestures became a spectral symphony, guiding the ethereal dance to a crescendo that reverberated through the ages. As the last echoes of the dance dissipated, the hitchhiker turned toward me, their luminous eyes expressing gratitude that transcended the limitations of spoken language. The spectral figures, having played their part, melted back into the ancient rock, leaving behind a sense of closure that hung in the air like a benevolent mist. The hitchhiker, their purpose fulfilled, gestured for me to return to the car. The desert, once a realm of enigma, now felt like an old friend, its secrets shared with a chosen few. As we retraced our path through the moonlit labyrinth, the hitchhiker's presence gradually faded into the obsidian night. As dawn painted the horizon with hues of warmth, I found myself back on the main road, the desert embracing its secrets once more. The hitchhiker, a silent guardian of the spectral dance, became a fading memory, leaving me with a tale to recount and a realization that some mysteries are best experienced in the profound quietude of the desert night.